Welcome back. Hopefully you are still in bed and you've just rolled over and you're nice and comfy, but you're not allowed to go back to sleep just yet. But it's important that we talk about sleep. In fact, sleep is the state we must enter in order to fix that which has been upset by wake. I love these words made famous by author and scientist Matthew Walker, and it rings true in our world. We don't need to be told how important sleep is. Surely by now, when you're trying to make it through the day after a bad night's sleep, I think you know all about it. And this 15th of March marks World Sleep Day, a vitally important one. To highlight this, and this morning we are joined in studio by Dr. Dale Ray, Director of Sleep Science and Associate Professor at the University of Cape Town, to discuss the connection between sleep and our health. So many facets of our health. Doc, thank you for getting up so early this morning, but you did say you are a morning person. You have chosen to make this your life's purpose. So I would imagine there have been a couple of major penny drop moments that have kind of awoken you, excuse the pun. Let's start there. Why is sleep so vitally important? What's happening within our body when we shut our eyes?
So I kind of view it as a future insurance policy.
Oh, I like that.
About the things that it can do for us, because it's a little bit like we can abuse it's very easy to abuse sleep. Many people do, and our bodies are super resilient and robust, and we can take a little bit of abuse. But over the long term, this is going to catch up. So ultimately, it's critical for survival. That's no small thing. And we know, if I were to summarize, it's critical for mental health and it's critical for physical health in the long term. So the better we sleep, the more productive we're going to be, and the better our quality of life is going to be. But in the long term, we're less likely to run into trouble. And so from that perspective, I think it's really key.
It's a biohack. It's a daily biohack that I think we often miss in that sense. We're always looking for the big thing, that massive mountain to climb, but it's something you can literally do every day. So much of life feels like you're borrowing from tomorrow as opposed to investing. And when I speak about health, if you do something today, generally it's going to cost you tomorrow. I love the fact that you can invest in that future model. How does it work, though? What is going on chemically, physically within our body that does that restoration? Why is it so important?
Cool. So we're actually a little bit in the dark, to be completely frank with you, but we know a little bit. So one of the things that happens when we sleep is that all of our neural pathways that we made use of in the daytime get reinforced. So the way to think about it is your brain is like a collection of superhighways.
For sure.
And so all the little neural pathways that we made use of in the day get reinforced at night. So how does this translate into being helpful to us? Well, it helps us lay down or embed memory, which is obviously super important. If we're learning new skills, then we embed or entrench those skills as well so that they become automated. So you spoke about your driving route and
For sure, yeah. There are times where it feels like I haven't woken up yet and I'm still driving.
You're on autopilot, absolutely. So that's one aspect of it. The other thing is that there's a huge amount of housekeeping that happens when we sleep, which removes toxins from the brain. Now, these toxins are metabolic byproducts. It's quite normal for them to build up in the daytime, but we have to give our body the chance to remove them at nighttime. And one of the big things that we've learned about recently is something called beta amyloid. So there's a lot of talk about this beta amyloid because they see in people with early signs of Alzheimer's or neurodegenerative diseases that there are higher levels of beta amyloid than perhaps would be wanted.
Oh, wow.
And so we are thinking that when we sleep, the brain actually is able to remove these toxins, beta amyloid being one of those. And so the protective effect over time is that perhaps we are able to prevent early neurodegeneration and early signs of Alzheimer's, for example. So that is absolutely critical. So when I speak about investing in the future, we're all very, very concerned.
This is like a life insurance policy.
Yeah.
It really is a massive one. And it stands to reason our body is designed to do amazing things. The major stress comes when we're juggling the balls while we're conscious, trying to manage all of these various elements.
Yeah.
And our brain gets tired. You've got to defrag or whatever you want to see it as, but the brain needs to get that worked through. I love that. We often don't connect the dots, and there's no silver bullet here except doing this maybe consistently. But when we start to see links between our immune system and our quality of sleep, suddenly we are connecting two completely different systems, and it's this aha moment. How does that work? Why are we healthier when we are sleeping more?
Cool. So that's another sort of background story, which is very interesting. There are two main parts to your immune system, if I can be very crude about it. The one part is your innate immunity, and that defends you against viruses and pathogens that you're exposed to in the daytime that you would absorb or ingest. So that makes sense.
Especially this time of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
They're coming at us. They're coming at us.
Thinking about good old COVID and that. But what happens when we sleep is your immune system switches roles and the adaptive immunity becomes more prevalent. And that does a couple of important things. On one hand, this part of your immune system trawls your body looking for damaged and mutated cells, and it destroys them. And this has obviously got a very specific anti-cancer effect in terms of tumor development. The other thing that happens is your immune system is really busy at nighttime while you're asleep, making the antibodies that you need to defend you against those viruses.
A little army that needs to go to work tomorrow.
Totally. So if you're shortchanging yourself on sleep, potentially one of the things that you're doing is not giving your immune system the time that it needs to basically do its job. And that's why we notice that when we've become chronically sleep deprived, you'll sort of start to feel that little slight crash. You know, your throat gets a little bit sore and you kind of feel a little bit like, well, I wonder if I'm going to go down, and then very often you do.
I'm dying to know quality versus quantity. We're going to pick up this conversation in just a moment. In fact, you can weigh in. Let us know on our social media platforms your key to getting a good night's sleep. Do you have a mantra? Do you have a process that you go for? What allows you to get into that rested state, because it is so important? This has been a mind-blowing discovery so far. We're going to continue down that path. We are talking about the vital importance of sleep this morning. Please don't go back to sleep. Stick around.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we dive right back under the covers. And then don't go back to sleep, but we continue this conversation. Sleep is an essential aspect of our lives, playing such a vital role in maintaining our overall health and well-being. There are so many different angles to look at this from, and we're back with Dr. Dale Ray, Director of Sleep Science and Associate Professor at the University of Cape Town, to deepen our knowledge about sleep. So before the break, I put it to you, quantity versus quality. What is the sweet spot here in terms of the amount? I know it could be different for every person, but how much time should we be devoting to sleep, and how do we know that the quality is right?
Those are also great questions. Everyone's always obsessed about the duration of sleep, so the quantity.
It's always the 8 hours, at least 8 hours.
Yes, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. That's the thing. They say, oh, you know, you should be aiming for 8 hours. Well, that's actually probably quite rubbish. As you've mentioned, there's inter-individual variation. We're all a little different. The thinking is that to promote optimal physical and mental health, it's somewhere in the range of 7 to 9 hours in terms of duration, but some people need as little as 6 and others need as much as 10. So there's actually a huge variation, and our variation changes as well. We have a different need depending on circumstances. It even changes seasonally. So that's one side of it, but actually the quality that you speak about is probably key, and I would say I would take shorter, better quality sleep.
For sure.
Hands down, absolutely any day. And so quality sleep refers to a number of things. It refers to how consistent your sleep patterns are. So our bodies absolutely love rhythm and routine.
For sure.
So that's really important. We like continuous sleep. So sleep which is broken or fragmented feels very light, and that's not restorative. And the other thing that people don't think about when it comes to quality is sleeping in sync with your body clock. So you'll be an evening type or a morning type, for example. The best sleep is when you're sleeping aligned with your own body clock. So morning types, early to bed, early to rise, that's absolutely brilliant.
So basically saying I'm failing in every facet of this journey through life. But no, thank you so much for highlighting that so well. I suddenly feel so exhausted. I don't know why. No, the funny thing is, I mean, I probably get away with about 4 hours generally, which people are always so shocked to hear. But when you've got young kids, you work very full days. I often work in 48-hour cycles. What saves me is my body getting used to doing that. And I know you can't hammer yourself like that for very long, but we've been doing, everyone who works in TV pretty much does this to their bodies. And it's amazing. I'll wake up with this feeling of like, I'm so tired, but I know I can do this because I've done it before. And my body gets used to that rhythm. And there are a couple of things you can do to kind of activate and wake yourself up. The problem I don't have is falling asleep. I could literally fall asleep talking to you now. Some people really struggle. What are the optimal sleep conditions? Zoe was, she mentioned 19 degrees. Her dear husband is making her sleep at night. She says she is freezing. Is cold better than heat? How do we get the perfect night's sleep in terms of our atmosphere?
So from an environmental perspective, temperature is definitely quite a big thing. We've just all been through one crazy hot summer.
For sure.
And I think everyone can relate to how difficult it is to fall asleep and to stay asleep when we're too hot. So at the end of the day, our body temperature is meant to drop, and so it's useful if the environmental temperature is cool as well, because that's a really good sleep signal for our.
We
for our
said
bodies
cool,
to
not
sleep.
freezing.
Not freezing, no. So it differs for different people. But it's also really important for some people. They're very light sensitive, and they're going to do better in a darker environment. I mean, there's some people that can sleep underneath a spotlight, okay?
For
And those
sure,
are the
yeah.
exhausted peeps. But for the rest of us, we tend to enjoy dark spaces, cool spaces, quiet spaces.
Sleeping in a hotel room where they've got like triple blockouts and you don't even know what province you're in. It's
Yeah.
like, I absolutely
Perfect.
love that. I'm thinking a big issue that we have is the adrenaline up and down, our emotions. I would imagine hormones play a role in that part, particularly within women. How does that affect you? What's going on in your body? You can't just switch everything off and go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So we need a sort of a transitionary stage. So when we're awake, we want to be superhuman. We want to be firing on all cylinders. And you're quite right. There's a lot of adrenaline sort of driving us, especially when you're skating by on 4 hours of sleep per night, I'll just add.
Thank you.
And so for those of us that are super busy in the daytime, you absolutely cannot be grafting up until 30 seconds before bed, slam down your laptop cover and hope to hop into bed and have a great night's sleep. You're going to struggle. So we need to decompress. And I think this decompression is actually a really important part of transitioning from being a very busy person to winding down at the end of the day. So making sure that we can sort of prepare this runway into sleep
I love
so
that,
that your mind
yeah.
sort of starts to slow down is really important. And the other thing that you touched on there is around sort of a very busy, active mind and maybe stress and emotions. Number one destroyer of sleep in people who don't have a known sleep disorder is stress. Of course, stress, anxiety, worry. It tends to infiltrate into sleep in those sort of 1 to 3
You wake up
a.m.
thinking about exactly the same thing you fell asleep thinking about, and you wonder,
Yeah.
did I ever stop thinking about it? I get that completely. I'd love you to debunk some myths here because, thanks to the internet, we are all experts when it comes to sleep, and there's a meme for everything. But maybe give us 3 of the biggest misconceptions that you'd like to knock out of the water right now.
Sure, okay. I think one of them would relate to the 8-hour thing. Okay, 8 hours, it's not necessary for everyone to get 8. We have variation.
Quality, quality, quality.
Absolutely. Yeah, probably another thing that people want to experiment with is sort of polyphasic sleeping, that, it works to sleep in sort of multiple periods sort of throughout the day, whether it's 2, 3, or 4 sleeps, so that people do like a very nap-oriented approach. That's we're diurnal creatures, which means we're designed to have one consolidated nocturnal sleep. We're not designed to sort of spread our sleep out too much. We can chat about naps another day.
Because I'm thinking about a nap right now. Eh? It's there, but out of necessity, not out of want. And then, lastly,
Yeah, people always are looking for sort of hacks into sleep. Like, what can I take? What can I eat? What can I do in order to improve my sleep? There are actually not a hell of a lot of hacks, if I were to be very, very honest. There isn't any food that has been shown to promote better sleep with great levels of certainty. I think that's much more around making sure that you're in a good mental health and physical health sort of condition, so that those factors don't intrude on or impair your sleep.
You can't reverse engineer it. There is a reason why we benefit so much from these things. And I call it the ultimate biohack now, just listening to these amazing gems that you've given us. It's an opportunity for us to feed into our optimal health every single day. You don't have to take a pill, where there are pills that can knock you out, but will they give you the sleep? No, you've got to be, that's a manifestation of your health. And I love that. Thank you for making this your life's purpose. I'm dying to know whether the doctor's going to be taking a nap a little bit later today after this early morning. The bottom line is you have to protect your brain, you have to protect your body and allow it to do what it needs to do to heal yourself, and sleep is vital.